Hey fellow babies, welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you're watching on Patreon, thank you for your patronage. If you're watching on YouTube, please remember to click the link below and link your Twitch and Amazon Prime accounts. Every month you just have to renew it. It takes one click. It's really easy. If you're watching on YouTube, please follow us on Twitter at Dinfire for Shane, at SIFTD Games, at Michael Pachter. Let's get into the questions. Happy Thanksgiving. So Halloween's behind us. I gave out all my 672 candy bars, and now it's Thanksgiving, and this is the first year in like a long time we're not cooking at home. We're going to somebody else's house, so I'm looking forward to that. No cleanup. So our first question from Twitter at Geodude1984. What are you most thankful for in gaming for 2018? I mean, I assume you mean like what games and stuff. You know, obviously, every year game quality gets better and better and better. You know, I'd say with the exception of some pretty serious missteps by EA with Star Wars, you know, we've just had consistently good quality games. I'm blown away that the most recent Assassin's Creed is like tied for the highest rated in the franchise. That just tells you that the publishers are taking pride in their work. Call of Duty, you know, it's not the highest rated Call of Duty in the franchise history, but it's the highest one in 5 years, which is really impressive. We've gotten over the annual franchises suck, and so the developers are paying attention. You know, Battlefield will have just come out. I hope that game gets an okay rating because it looks beautiful, but it, you know, obviously buggy. Red Dead, best game ever. I'm really thankful that game quality is so good. You young bucks who weren't around, you know, a generation or two of consoles ago, don't realize how bad games used to be and how great they are now. And just table stakes to get like an 80, it has to look phenomenal. So I'm very thankful that game quality is so good. You know, my personal life, I'm really thankful that I get to work in such a fun area and I get to talk about such interesting stuff. I'm thankful my family supports it. They don't support my playing games enough, so I'm really behind. I just like Spider-Man. I got to freaking figure out time to play Spider-Man. I'm going to do that. But yeah, I mean, I think the best thing is that the industry is now producing probably its highest quality content ever. There's more of it. You guys have more choices, and things are just getting better and better. So you should be thankful for that too. Our next question from Twitter at Scott Notsky. With the original programming wars heating up between the major players, do you think it's at all likely we'll start seeing more gaming IP like The Witcher becoming TV shows? Is it likely that Sony or Microsoft will start producing it themselves or on their own streaming services? There's not very much video game content that lends itself to television content. You know, or to movies. So we've seen like a World of Warcraft movie. We've seen, you know, a Candy Crush game show. I don't even know if that thing got canceled. I haven't paid attention. But the fact is that, you know, games, single-player game campaigns, logically could make good movies. It's not very many of them have. So Max Payne wasn't very good. Assassin's Creed wasn't very good. Final Fantasy wasn't very good. Super Mario Brothers wasn't very good. The two that stand out, and I'm sure there are like a dozen, I just can think of two, are Resident Evil has done very well and Lara Croft has done very well. And both of those are older franchises, Lara Croft especially. I can't see a Call of Duty movie. Like, I don't think people care. There was a Halo movie, it was bad. Chronicles of Riddick was okay. You know, there's been a few like that have done okay. Yeah. But, you know, I think unless the game itself is made by a movie director who is intimately involved in it from the beginning and helps with the story development. So, you know, it's possible like Death Stranding could be a movie or, you know, something like that where it's designed with that in mind. It's hard to do. As far as TV shows, you know, it's like going the other way. Walking Dead is a TV show and graphic novel that turned into a game and was actually quite good. I think it's easier to go the other way, to make a game from recurring content And I think that Walking Dead proves that you can do that. So I think you're going to get more television that's created with the idea that we're going to make a video game out of it than vice versa. The real problem is that the story in the game isn't as immersive as the story in a television show. And so it requires a lot of skill to take a game which, honestly, how much dialogue is in Call of Duty? So I don't know how you sustain a, 15 episode TV series for 7 years on a couple of hours of content. So no, I don't think you're going to see more, but yes, there could be really interesting characters, like The Witcher could actually work. I could see it. And again, I could see Uncharted becoming a TV show. Like, there's stuff you could do where it might actually be interesting. Remember, like Mission Impossible, the TV show, became Mission Impossible, the movies. And so there's no shortage of creative talent who can figure that stuff out. But I think the best answer is going to be the guys who build the games planning to make TV or movies out of them. That's the right way. So it's really when you get these Guillermo del Toro types involved in making games, or Michael Bay, who makes Transformers, involved in making games, or Peter Jackson, who made Lord of the Rings, who gets involved. That's when I think you're going to see it actually start to work. And what's his name? Spielberg was one of the big guys behind Medal of Honor and made Saving Private Ryan. And I actually think the movie probably came first. But you need a movie creator to be involved in making the game to actually pull off what you described. So I don't think you're going to see more of this. Next question from YouTube, from Jared Harris. When I heard Nintendo was doing it with the Virtual Console, I was bummed. Now I see companies like Sega Rare, Nintendo, and now Sony releasing either compilation discs or older games or micro consoles. Is this the future of retro gaming, or do you think that emulation is still viable? A la carte is less attractive, to the publisher than forcing you to buy a bundle. So if they can get you to spend $80, they make more money than if they give you an opportunity to buy something for $8. You'll have to buy 10. And so think about the iTunes store versus buying a CD. And let's just pretend that, your favorite artist is Justin Bieber, and he has a new album. It's like, well, his album has 12 songs on it and they can charge you $15, or you can buy the one song you like and it's $1.29. Which is a better deal for you? If you only like one song, $1.29. That's a virtual console. So the music business went to hell when iTunes was invented. Now, iTunes was invented to solve piracy. So piracy, people were stealing songs. So iTunes came up with 99 cents back then to make it where people felt guilty ripping off a song. If it was only 99 cents, they'd pay it. And so the artist got something. But the old music business was, albums and CDs, and you paid $15. And so I have 5,000 CDs, no kidding, that I bought in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, or I bought them all in the 90s. But I have 5,000 CDs, and I got to tell you, every album, I've got 3 or 4 songs I don't like, and some albums I have all the songs but one that I don't like. And so now I don't have to listen to stuff I don't like. I can just buy the 1 or 2 songs that I do like. So the Virtual Console is allowing you to buy the 1 or 2 games that you like. The Retro Console makes you buy whatever they decide to package in there. So the profit deal here is they get $80 instead of 8. That's the point. And so 80 is more than 8. So the answer to your question is this the way it's going to be in the future? Yes. Is emulation still viable? It's viable, they're just not going to do it. Our last question this week from Patreon, from Ben James Hodges. Hey, Pach, I tend to buy games during Steam sales when they're at least 75% off. I'm not the only one like this, so I want to know if consumers like me harm or help the industry. I have over 200 games on Steam, but rarely see the need to purchase games on launch day outside of Rockstar's games. Well, you just answered the question yourself. If the game's good enough that you have to have it, Rockstar Games, you buy it full price. If it's not good enough and you don't feel you have to have it, you buy it at a discount. The analogy is to the movie business, okay? How many movies do you go see in the movie theater? And the answer is a couple. And how many do you see over the course of a year? And the answer is 20 or 30 or 40. You may watch them pay-per-view and pay $5 or $6. You may watch them on HBO and only pay 10 or 15 bucks a month and you get a lot of movies. You may wait for them to be on commercial TV and pay nothing and watch ads. You may stream them on Netflix and pay $11 a month. You're paying something, but not as much as the full ticket price. And what happened to the guy who created that content? Is he making more money or less? The answer is he's making less from theatrical exhibition. He's making more in the aggregate because you're buying it in a different place. So a Steam sale is bringing in a consumer who won't pay full price. And if you won't pay full price now, you probably weren't paying full price before. And the trick is, of course, some portion of Steam purchasers used to buy games for 60 bucks. Now they're buying them for 20, but a lot more people are buying for 10 and 20 bucks that never bought them before at all. So, there's a concept called supply and demand. As the price of a product goes down, demand goes up, period. The supply of games is infinite because they're all digital. So as price comes down, demand goes up, and the point is that only a few people will pay full price $60 for most games, not Rockstar games. And that's why most games don't sell 20 million copies. But 20 million people will pay 10 bucks for a lot of games. So that's this Steam is just figuring out where the price tension is at, for consumers and satisfying that demand. And a game doesn't go on sale at Steam if the publisher doesn't allow it to. So the stuff you are buying isn't everything. I guarantee you've never purchased an Activision game on a Steam sale because they're not there. And you never purchased an EA game on a Steam sale because they're not there. So when you say it, you've never bought a Rockstar game on a Steam sale because they're not there. So I wouldn't get too huffy about what you only will pay full price for. So that's it, fellow babies. Thank you for joining us on Pachter Factor. If you're a Patreon patron, thank you so much. If you aren't, and you can take the time and trouble to link your Twitch account to your Prime account, Shane gets $2.50. Once you've linked it, just click on it every month and renew your subscription. It's a single click. If you are too lame to do any of that stuff, please follow us on YouTube at Dinfire for Shane, at SIFTD Games for SIFTD, at Michael Pachter for me, and I will answer questions. If you're civil and you treat me well, I will treat you well. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving. One more Scotch lesson, just because I like keeping on this theme. All right, so once you start trying 18-year-old whiskeys, now you're ready to graduate to something really funky, which is whiskeys that aren't made in Scotland. So the trick on Scotch is that Scotch is made in Scotland. It's required. Just like bourbon is actually required to be made in Kentucky. So when you drink Jack Daniels, which is a bourbon type whiskey, it's called Tennessee whiskey. It's not called bourbon. They're not allowed to call it bourbon. So anyway, but the same stuff. They're made the same exact way. So there are Scotches that aren't made in Scotland, so they're not called Scotch. They're all over the place. So there's Westland made in the U.S., which is interesting. God, I'm blanking on the name. There's one made in France, starts with a B, really good. There's actually 2 or 3 made in France that are really good. There's Indian whiskeys called Amrut, A-M-R-U-T, super good if you want to try something really funky. And then the biggest place that makes whiskeys that look and taste like Scotch is Japan. Unfortunately, they're all super expensive. So the reason they're expensive is that the Chinese figured it out and they're bidding up the price of Japanese whiskey. It's odd. It's going to probably take another 5 or 6 years, and then you're going to get a flood of Japanese whiskeys at reasonable prices in the U.S. The Japanese didn't expect demand to go up that high, so they didn't make enough whiskey to keep up with demand. So I used to drink this Scotch called Yamazaki, and it's 12, 18, and 25. And when I first had it in 2007, the 12 was about 50 bucks, the 18 was about 100 bucks, and the 25 was about 175. The 25 is over $3,000 now. And you can look it up. Wow. You should show a picture of that one. And it's not worth it. I mean, it's just not worth it. But it's because they just flat out didn't make enough, because when they were making it 25 years ago, they just expected that they would sell, a couple 100,000 bottles, and that's what they made. And now demand went up.
Plan ahead in that industry.
Right, and they're not going to keep it barreled for 25 years. So fortunately, now that they're getting 3,000 a bottle, and they're not actually. They already sold it. It's all the retailers who have it. But now they know they can charge 200 and sell 10 times as much. So they're bottling 10 times as much now and putting it away in barrels. They're putting it away for 25 years. And this all started in 2011, 12, 13. So the 25-year-old whiskeys are going to hit in 2035, and the 18-year-old whiskeys are going to hit in 2030 or 2028, and the 12-year-olds, the volume is going way up, is going to actually hit in 2020 or 2022. So you're going to be able to enjoy these in the next few years, but I encourage you to try them. The blended one that's worth trying is Hibiki, and the Hibiki Harmony is available now, $60-$70, very good. But the Yamazaki 12 is great, and about 75. Try those just because you really should try a different version of Scotch whiskey made elsewhere.